Hello, wonderful. This is Sarah, and we are going to talk about stress, baby. Isn't there like a oh yeah, that's not an appropriate song. I was like, let's talk about babe, let's talk about you and me. But I was going to use stress instead of the other word because, you know, this is just not what this podcast is about. So let's talk about stress, baby. Okay, we're going to talk about stress cycling and stress stacking today. Two of my current favorite conversations. And before we do, please check out my book, Problem Solved: Simple Habits for Complex Decisions. It has lots of information about how to cut down the stress of your life and to make the I can't promise you a life without problems, but it gives you strategies to solve those problems much more quickly and efficiently so they don't stick around as long, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to relieve our stress. Okay, so one of my favorite conversations currently is about avoiding stress stacking. Okay, so let's imagine it's 7 a.m. and your alarm didn't go off and you're going to work out, but then you didn't get to. And then you run and you're trying to wake up the kids and they're grumpy. And then you realize you were out of coffee. And then the school pickup line was late. And then you're late to your first appointment at work. And then you accidentally spill coffee on your dress. And like, okay, stress stacking. Stress stacking. And what that means is those are little tiny micro stressors. Okay. Is your alarm not going off going to send you over the edge into therapy? Probably not. Okay. But it's these little micro stressors that stack throughout our day. And then by the end of the day, you have decision-making fatigue, or you reach the end of your rope, or you blow your stack, or it's an appointment, a big deal at work at 3 o'clock, and you're so exhausted because you've been stress stacking all day and your nervous system's like, rah, and you're so frazzled. And then you are grumpy and say something to a coworker that you wish you hadn't. Like, you see what's happening here? And everyone I've talked to about this is like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So when I did Brendan Burchard's high performance coaching, he talked about energy management. He wasn't talking about stress stacking. That's a term I made up. But with energy management, he talked about the importance of kind of hitting the reset button between your 9 o'clock meeting and your 10 o'clock meeting so that you can show up as your best self in each hour of the day and try to have energy at the end of the day. Okay, so not a completely different concept, though the solution is different. But this is where I started thinking about this and figuring this out. So it's a high performance technique. Okay, and so Brendan Burchard mainly works with men, right? And he is a man. So it's different, right? Guys processing stress is different because his wife probably took the kids to school, right? He's a lovely person, I'm sure. I'm not saying anything bad about Brendan Burchard. He actually talks really nice about his wife. From everything I can see, he is a fabulous husband to her. It's very nice and kind and sweet. He says one of the things that he puts his phone down he made a promise to himself that every time she walked into a room, he would like put his phone down and put his computer down or whatever work he was doing and turn and look at her. And it was just lovely. It was just lovely. So nice things about him. Okay. So within the concept of hitting the reset button, he talked about, if you have a 9 a.m. and a 10 a.m. meeting, at 9:55, the phone goes up, you maybe do some jumping jacks, you move your body, you do some stretches, he has a release meditation that's great. So he, in his head, he's going release, release, release. So he hits the reset by releasing whatever happened at the 9 a.m. and going to the 10 a.m. Okay. So that would, in many ways, like hit the reset button. Okay. What I want to do is help you also complete the stress cycle. Okay, so the idea started when I did high performance coaching, but I want to add to it from what I've seen in some different areas I've seen. So there's a great book about burnout and completing the women's stress cycle that I highly recommend. And when you think about it, back in the day when we were caveman or cavewoman, whatever, and let's say a saber-toothed tiger. We'll go with saber-toothed tiger. Saber-toothed tiger ran up. So we're at the campfire. We're trying to make dinner. A saber-toothed tiger runs up. Like, some people are going to run away and some people are not. The people who are not are going to be eaten. Okay. So a long time ago, as our brains were forming and as humankind was forming, it was like, hey, there's a danger. You take action and then you stop. And that signals to your brain, hey, there was danger. I did something about it and then I stopped and now I'm safe. And when you stopped, that was your brain like saying, okay, we're safe now. Makes total sense, right? The problem in our current society is that the stress comes from our alarm not going off and the school pickup line being crazy, and our coworker drank all the coffee, and our outfit didn't come back from the dry cleaners, and so we feel fat in the dress we're going to have to wear for our presentation for our boss, and then a coworker took ownership of our idea, right? Like, this is how our current life experiences stress. So we're talking about micro stressors, okay? I do a ton of work on major stressors, capital T trauma. That's not what this podcast episode is about. These are about like micro stressors, okay? But if you are stress stacking, you're going to reach the end of your rope. You're not going to have the time or energy or emotional energy to deal with the big stressors. Right? So these are quick and easy ways to prevent stress stacking, so you're in a better mood at the end of the night, so you're not so exhausted on the weekends, so your nervous system isn't always inflamed from stress. Got it? Okay, so our brains are made danger, action, stop. You can't fight biology. I can't fight biology. That's how your brain is made. Danger, action, stop. So let's say you get an ugly text or email from someone. Danger. Then the way you try to deal with it is talking to your friend about it, distracting yourself on social media, ruminating in your head, right? Do you see that there is no like real action taking place? So you never get to the stop section, which actually helps your nervous system. And then you're like good to go. And your brain says, okay, I can be happy again. Do we see that? We see what's going on? Okay. And so in the case of an angry email, danger, I would 100%, 100%, 100%, 100% type out the response I wanted, or write out. Do not type it back to them. Do not hit reply. Just, okay, if I was just going to say what I wanted to say, this is what I would say. Don't hit send, don't hit send, don't hit send, okay? The goal of this is to solve the problem of your stress, not to solve the problem of the person who wrote the email. Now, there's all kinds of conversations I've done about how to talk to toxic people. That's not the purpose of this podcast, okay? I get that you probably need to do something else. But for the time being, I want your brain, hey, I saw the problem. I got it. I need to take action on this. I'm taking action. I'm doing what I can to keep us safe. Okay. Then you start to complete the stress cycle. And then you're not stress stacking throughout the day. Okay. Another way to reset is with lion's breath. This is a great yoga technique, but like just like throwing and exit. Gosh, if you just feel so much better, you should definitely try it. Even those little 2 breaths, I'm like, I already feel so much better. I wasn't even stressed out. But it just feels so good, and it's so easy. It's something I do in the car quite a bit. My children are used to this process, and I'm like, I'm not stress stacking. I'm not, but sometimes my daughter gets worried and she's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I said, "It's traffic, baby. There's nothing wrong. I'm not mad. Mommy's okay." But when I'm in traffic, my nervous system is inflamed because my nervous system is made to keep me safe. And there are lots of pounds of metal hurtling around me on the interstate. And I have my 2 most precious things in the world, my children in my car. That's going to be stress on my nervous system because there is actually danger around. We don't think about it. It's just normal for us to drive. But as far as our nervous system, it's not peaceful. There's nothing about traffic that's peaceful. There's nothing about really having to pay attention so you don't, get like run into another car or, and half the time it's like kids are talking about their homework and do I have this for my next sport and all that kind of stuff, right? It's stressful. But we don't think about it. We think about the big T traumas. Okay. And then we're exhausted by the end of the day. Okay. So the lion's breath, great, great resource. If you're sitting and watching TV or in a Zoom meeting or something like that, you can often breathe in a way that your exhales are longer than your inhales. For example, breathing in for 4 and exhaling for 6. Okay. That can be a way. That's not ideal because that's multitasking to some extent, but it's better than not doing anything, right? It's just some signal to your nervous system that's like, I often do if I'm driving by myself. It's just like, okay, I can like make my exhales longer than my inhales and, just use this time wisely or use this time to be kind to my nervous system. Another quick tip is like literally that Taylor Swift song, Shake It Off, Shake It Off. One of the most why I don't think of Taylor as I know a lot of people do. They're usually younger than me, but a lot of people think of Taylor as like a muse and like so wise. And I will say, with her Shake It Off song, she absolutely was. And a player's gonna play and a hater's gonna hate. Shake it off. But remember our ancestors, saber-toothed tiger, action, run away, stop. So you really need to actually shake off your hands and shake off your feet and shake your body out. Okay, great resetting tool. For a minute between the 9 a.m. and the 10 a.m. You can do it before you walk in the house, okay, or pick up your kids from school so that you've kind of shaken off work and can be fully present for your friends and family or whatever you have going on that evening. Another great technique is dusting yourself off. So I want you to imagine the energy of a stressful situation like falling on your head and body like dust, like there was like dirt in the ceiling and it just like fell on you. Okay. And you were literally dusting off your body, like dusting off your arms, dusting off your legs, dusting off your head, like dusting off that energy. It is so useful, so powerful, and it's physical. Okay. Notice how many of the things I'm saying are physical. In other cultures and other times in our life, being physical was built into our daily lives. We could be mad and like scrub the floor or chop wood or, like pound the biscuits as we're like making dinner, right? And our current life is just not as physical, right? We show up for another email meeting. We read an email. We text on our computers. We drive our cars, right? Like we're not riding a horse. Like we're like walking. I have to walk to the next thing. I'm pounding my arms and whatever. Like you're getting on the metro. Like it's not those little things that used to be built into daily society to complete the stress cycle are not built into the modern way we live. And it's increasing our stress, and it's not good for us. And we need to find ways to incorporate completing the stress cycle in our lives so we avoid stress stacking. It will change your life, change your life, change your life. And just make you more, you'll have more mental space left over for the important things. Your nervous system won't be as inflamed, and you'll have more energy, right? Less decision-making fatigue, more energy, less reaching the end of your rope and yelling at your kids in a way you did have to apologize for later. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, but it's physical stuff, right? It's physical stuff. And yes, going to the gym and pounding the, you know, doing a kickboxing class or pumping really heavy weights is great for this. It's wonderful. But these, we're talking about stress stacking. So if you wait till the end of the day to finally handle it or manage it, you've had stress for 7 or 8 hours already, or 10 hours. Okay, these are little micro things, physical things you can do to not stress stack and have a better outcome and a better nervous system and a happier life and more mental power. So I hope that helps you on your journey to becoming toxic person proof.